Welcome to another episode of Question It, where a question is posed and we share our perspectives. I'm Kevin Strauss, the host of Question It and founder of Uchi, a simple social app built around one belief that everything feels possible when you know someone has your back every day. Today's guest is Joe Kwon. Hey, Joe, how are you doing?
Hi, Kevin. Great to see you.
Thanks for being here and part of this little experiment. Joe and I actually met in person back in 2019. That's the first time we met. So 7 years now. And I'm so glad that you're my friend. Thank you for being here. Can you just give yourself a little introduction?
Sure. My name is Joe Kwon. I go by the Connection Counselor, and I just love leadership topics, specifically helping people connect better to themselves and others for better leadership results.
Oh, yeah. And we're always all about talking about connection. So we have that connection as well.
Definitely.
Okay, so before we got started, Joe picked a random question out of my little database. So today's question is, describe a time when you held back from being yourself and what was going on.
Yeah. So this was, gosh, maybe about 10 years ago, where it's a strange paradox where I love public speaking, I love presenting, I love facilitating, but I'm also very introverted in certain situations. And so holiday parties are a bit of a torture for me. If a lot of my team members are there and I'm going with a big group, sure, it's fine, it's no different. But sometimes you'll have these situations where you're the only one going, and you really don't know how to be. And I remember one time I was at a conference that I went to, and I was trying to talk to someone, and they actually turned their back on me. And it was just like, oh my God, this is my worst nightmare come true. So, I was at this holiday party and I was there and I was so uncomfortable. And, of course, having a drink to try to relax, and it just was not going well. I think people can resonate with, sometimes you have a conversation with someone and it's just you're not connecting at all, right? Like you feel like you have nothing in common with this person. It may not even be personal. It may be like an age thing or a religion thing or some random thing that you just feel there's like an ocean between the two of you. So I'm at this holiday party and I'm just so miserable and I'm about to go home. And then I realized, wait a second, I've been working on all this connection stuff, meeting great people like, Kevin. Like, if I can't use this myself, like, how can I try to teach it to others? It's embarrassing. So I decided, all right, I'm going to put on my big boy pants and I'm going to actually try to apply some of, what I've been teaching people, just really simple things like being curious about people, giving people space like we're doing in this podcast right now to let them express themselves fully and not always feel like you have to jump in and say something. And also being a little bit vulnerable, right? Sharing something like, oh, maybe a project's not going well. Like, don't try to seem like you're a hot shot all the time and everything's perfect, express some humanness. So I was sitting at a dinner table and it was so painful. And then I kind of turned the switch. I'm like, all right, let's run a human experiment on myself here, right? And then so I started using some of those principles. And I was sitting next to two people who I couldn't have been more unlike. One was a young white guy, probably just out of college. I was probably in my 40s at the time. He was in finance. And then his coworker, who was an older European white lady with a bit of an accent. I can't remember what country she was from, also in finance, right? So we don't have any work similarity. We don't have too much gender or age. Everything was kind of like different and I felt kind of separated. But I thought, all right, if I can do it with these two people, I can do it with anyone. So as it turned out, it started to work and we started having a great conversation. And I knew it was working because the both of them were like, "Oh, we should have lunch afterwards and set up something else." And then I was like, "Oh, wow, this stuff actually works." So then I go home, I don't think anything of it, and I'm like, "Wow, I can connect to people that I have very little in common on the surface, right? Because we all have a lot in common underneath." And the next day, you won't believe, I get this email from the guy, and he says, "Joe, my dad knows you." He said he went on a business trip with you throughout South America. And I remembered his dad and I remember the trip, and they have the same name. They're both Joe. I forget their last name. And I was like, I kind of kicked myself a little bit. I was like, wow, I thought I had nothing in common with this kid, young man, let me say. But in actuality, we had such a strong connection, but it needed to be discovered. It needed to be unearthed. I needed to apply the connection rather than just eject, which was the easier thing to do because I was afraid, or on the surface, maybe I could find someone a little bit easier to speak to. So yeah, that's my story.
Wow. Well, what an experience. And you had so many layers to that just so much comes to mind for me. But one of the things that first came to mind was, introverts want to connect also. That was one of the, because you said you're an introvert, but you're the connection counselor, and introverts need to connect just as much as extroverts, and maybe they do it differently, or maybe it's a more of a challenge or harder to do so. But they still need it and want it. That was one thing that popped out. Gosh, one thing, we had a video glitch, and then I lost this like one word, and now I can't remember. Right at the end, you were talking about connecting with the son's father. You went on a trip, and there was some similarity or difference.
Oh, they had the same name, so I recognized their name. Like their first name was the same,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the first name was the same even.
Yeah, it was like Junior. He was like Joe Junior or something.
Right, he was a junior. Wow. But then to go on that out on that limb and do the experiment on yourself, like how did you overcome that? How did you get to that point?
I think it's one of those things where I don't know that there's any secret to it. It's just like you just take the first step. You go down the hill. You jump off the cliff.
Jump off the cliff, right?
Yeah, I had to commit. In that moment. And there's plenty of times where I don't jump, but I
mean, you could have just left.
Yeah, I could have.
Right.
But I think probably it's a great question, Kevin. I think it was the underlying commitment to the work I was trying to do, which gave me the push. That
almost like having integrity with yourself.
Yes.
Like,
yeah. And you lose self-esteem. I learned this from Dr. David Lieberman ages ago. When you do the thing that you're supposed to be doing, the thing that's right. And I don't mean just like morally. I mean like inside that this is what you should be doing, you gain self-esteem. When you don't do that, you lose self-esteem because you can't trick yourself. You knew you were supposed to do it, and you knew you took the off-ramp.
Okay, I haven't heard it like that before, but that's really cool. Yeah. So like doing something that is in alignment with who you are, or what you know to be the right step, is nurturing to yourself.
Yeah, the way he described it is, for every decision there's three choices you can make. One is the sort of pleasurable or easy one, right? The one that makes you feel good, right? The second one is the one society expects of you. So maybe it doesn't feel good, but you're going to conform. And the third choice is the one that is right for you to do, right?
Oh man.
And that third one is the one that builds self-esteem. The other two, you lose respect for yourself in a very subtle but real way.
Wow, that's a cool nugget. I would love to just sit with that for a few minutes. I'm gonna have to do that after we get finished.
Yeah,
that's really cool. And then the last thing that popped into mind, well, not the last thing, but another thing that popped into mind is, boy, those holiday parties, those formal, gatherings can be so awkward, even when you know everyone, you work with them every day, you're around, but then all of a sudden you get into a formal setting and everything's weird. Like, why is that? What's going on?
I don't know. Maybe it's like flashbacks to high school. It's everything gets like kind of clicky. I don't know what it is, but I feel that as well.
Oh my! I remember at a company, like it was a small company. It was early on and getting started in a startup, and we got along. The engineers got along fine. Blah blah blah. And then they had lunch brought in, for the whole team. It was only like 15 people, and it was so awkward. It was like we didn't have anything to talk about. Like no one knew what to do or say. And we were just having simple sandwiches brought in and we worked together fine. It's like, yeah, I don't have to dig into like, why is that so weird? Because that happens. Like, it's just weird. I don't know why. Like you have to perform now all of a sudden, or there's a higher expectation. Anyway, that came up as you mentioned the holiday party.
Do you remember from NLV, the conference where we met Andy Vargo?
I do.
Own Your Awkward. So I recently caught up with him. He came on my podcast, and that's his space right there, the awkward space and owning that and how to move through that. So I had a blast catching up with him.
Yes. Yeah. Well, there you go. So there's another quick little lesson, like own your awkward. That's wow. Okay. So you know what? I'm gonna key off of that.
Okay.
To share my response now, because it sort of relates. That's so interesting. Okay, so the question again is, describe a time when you held back from being fully yourself and what was going on. So I had to think kind of hard on this, before we started recording. Wow, like I didn't know where to go, but then what came up was how I started college. And my parents dropped me off at the dorm. I went to NC State, living on campus. And I'm away at college. I'm really away for the first time. I'd gone to summer camp a couple times when I was younger, but those were not good experiences for me. Very homesick and everything. So now I'm off, and I don't know like anybody. There were a few people from my high school that were there, but they were in different departments and different dorms, and it's big. I mean, it's tens of thousands of people there. So I'm by myself, and I wanted to be liked. I wanted to fit in, and my personality, or at least back then, maybe I'm trying to get back to it now, very flirty, very, very extroverted, very congenial, can talk to like anybody. But I really started out like holding back right from the beginning. I wasn't flirty. I wasn't boisterous. I wasn't as congenial. I was constantly monitoring like everything that I did and said and how I interacted, and it didn't start out very well at all. I was so like desperate to be liked and to fit in with this completely new crowd of people. And yeah, and not feeling like the smartest person. Like I'm not stupid, but I'm not the 4.0, top of the class person. And there are a lot of really smart people in engineering. Like these people are like really academically smart. In fact, my roommate freshman year, randomly assigned, got an 800 perfect score on his math SAT, and he got like some 750 on his verbal, SAT. And I was like way below that. So yeah, so just like trying to fit in and not being my authentic self, but ultimately the lesson there is like what you said about Andy, like own your awkward, or when and what you were saying about the self-esteem, and for me in the last couple of months or weeks, being more in alignment with who I am, being more true to myself is becoming a really strong theme for me. And the more I do that, the happier I am and the better things seem to be going, at least the early data. But just, back to college and just be more myself. And if someone doesn't like me, okay. And if they do, okay. And that's where I landed.
So let me ask you, do you think it would have helped if the college had some sort of program to kind of on ramp folks, kids like you? Because I think that's a common experience that I remember people were homesick, their parents would come. I mean, this is not an uncommon first, especially if you're like first generation college and you don't have a big brother or big sister to tell you what it's going to be like, or you haven't visited them on campus. It's like can be very uncomfortable.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's a big element. Like if you don't have an older sibling or you're first generation college or higher ed or something. But yes, 100%. I think having a real tangible program activity system for onboarding. And the funny thing is that not just in college, but even like in the workplace.
Oh yeah.
This doesn't happen. I was at a job once where a new marketing manager was hired for a whole part of our business, and the director of marketing didn't have a single meeting with his new employee for 4 months.
Holy moly.
Not a single meeting.
Wow.
Not even like, hey, I'm your boss.
Yeah.
Nothing for 4 months. So yeah, this onboard. And now in college, I happened to apply to something called the Living Learning Program.
Okay.
So it was a special dorm. It was a co-ed dorm. There were 12 floors. It was male, female by floor, but like 40 students per floor. I mean, it was a big building. And they did a lot of extra programming, in socials or get to know you and icebreakers. And those were good. Like, and I ended up living in that dorm all 4 years.
Oh, wow.
Those were great programs, but they still were like almost basically all surface level. There was nothing deeper than, favorite color and favorite subject and,
Right.
what was your favorite sport in high school? It was all very surface level. So I think, yes, systems and, I'm going to do a self-promotion right here. The Uchi app is so awesome at that, to be implemented in any kind of that onboarding, whether it's, it could be summer camp even, but definitely for college, grad school, workplace, any of those places, because it's asynchronous communication, it's ongoing, it's always available and accessible, it's super private but social, and what was the last thing? And super private, social. There's a lot of great. Oh, and it goes below the surface. Just below the surface. Not about sharing all your deep, dark secrets, just below the surface. So yeah.
So Kevin, one use case which I saw because I'm familiar with your app and I've used it. It's great. That I thought was really cool was kind of like a family gathering, like the holidays or something, where you may have a bunch of uncles and cousins and you don't really talk to each other. Like, what a great way to get to know your own family better, because everyone's got stories, but they're not just gonna bust them out. I mean, there's that one uncle who talks too much and everyone wants them to shut up. But like, there's really interesting people in your family. They just need a moment or a platform like Uchi to do that.
Yeah. A little guidance, a little, and not guidance like do this, do that, but guidance like here's a question to answer. And if everybody answers it, now we have another commonality. And what you say about before family gatherings and stuff is so perfect. Like if a family was using Uchi and it's so much more than a group text message. Oh my God. But just using Uchi in the 3 to 4 weeks before Thanksgiving gathering, or before, the holiday, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever gathering, in the 2 to 3, 4 weeks before that, answering a handful of questions and everyone kind of getting involved, and it really does make a difference.
I have
Yeah.
an idea for you. This may be something you thought of already, but it just popped into my head when you were talking about the app and the model, let's say, because it's more than an app. Reunions,
Yeah.
right? Like you haven't seen someone and you just have this image of them. They were the bully, they were the popular person, they were the smart person. How cool would it be to go to your 10-year, 20-year high school, college, grad school, whatever, and see these people in a new light and be able to connect with both the current version of themselves and not just your image of them from
Wow,
10
you're
years.
nailing it. I've thought of a lot of different ways of using Uchi over the last 25 years. I haven't thought about reunions, I don't think.
I think something you should explore. I think that's a killer.
Maybe we do that together,
Yeah.
Maybe there's something there together. But wow, that's a great idea. Thank you for that.
Of course.
What are some of your favorite connection? I mean, you talked about it in like curiosity, but what's something like really tangible? Like, what would be an actual question to get it going that you might say at that holiday party, or so that someone doesn't turn their back on you at a networking event or something?
It's really easy. I came up with something ages ago when I wrote my charisma book. A strange thing happened. Like I wrote it about 6, 7 years ago. I initially sold about 50 copies or something, friends, families,
Right.
people that I gave training to, and then just nothing for years. And then in December or January of this year, it like sold like 200. So I don't know if like the algorithm changed or something, but it was so bizarre. And now every day it's like selling one or two. So it made me start to think about the charisma stuff again, because I hadn't really taught it. I shifted to executive presence. So I hadn't really thought about it, but this applies perfectly to the question you asked. So one of the things I teach based on the principles in that book is I call it blank paper. So it's like an exercise. So what you do is you're face to face, you're one-on-one with someone, and all you do is you ask them a really simple question, but you ask it sincerely, right? You ask, how are you feeling? Not how are you doing, but kind of specific, like how are you feeling? And if they kind of try to skirt away and say, oh, I'm fine, like kind of just corral them a little bit and like, I'd really like to know, like how are you feeling? What's going on, right? And then here's the key. And actually this coincides with what we're doing here. You become a blank piece of paper and you just imagine that all the words that they're speaking are being written on a blank piece of paper, right? So you kind of visualize, right, in your mind, and you wait. You listen and you wait until half the paper is full, right? And you get a sense of what's really going on. And then, like we're doing here, you ask questions, you interject, you do that. And the reason why
start flowing.
yeah, well, the reason why this works is because it gives you the fertilizer, the foundation, the ammunition to connect with this person on an emotional level. And that's what charisma comes from, because my definition in the book is charisma is the ability to sense. How are you going to sense it if you don't let them talk? And deliver, right? And deliver is your questions, your back and forth, your stories, which you share, exactly what a person needs in a given moment, this moment that we're having right here, from an emotional perspective. And I guarantee you, if you do that, people will think you are the most charismatic person in the world. Doesn't matter how good you look, how tall you are, the car you drive, the clothes you're wearing. They're like, man, Kevin, I mean, I know you already have this. Kevin knows how to listen, and he cares, and he feels what I'm feeling. What's a better feeling than having a friend like that?
There is no better feeling. I can't really think of a better feeling. And actually, it goes back to, you feel like someone's got your back in that moment, even. You know, and wow, I love that. It's such an exercise, and you can visualize like the blank piece of paper and write it down. But asking that question, and again, words do matter, you know, doing versus feeling
Mhm.
is it, that little word difference makes a huge emotional difference. Oh, I can totally see that. And also the waiting for the answer, well, asking sincerely so they
Mhm.
really feel like you care, but also, and you do care, don't fake it, but that lets them know that whatever they share matters, which means they matter.
Mhm.
And if they feel like they matter, then they feel valued and loved. And then the connection just starts to grow. Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, thanks for that bit. I think we're tight on time. So we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you so much for being here. That wraps another episode of Question It. So until next time, peace, love, and connect.
Thanks, everyone. Bye, Kevin.